On today's episode of the Gold Standard College Basketball Podcast, episode 1. What up, world? We're here. Bobby Hoops and Big Poppa. We're going to talk about why are two more white guys talking about any kind of topic, especially sports related. Do we need them? Do we not? Who's to say? After that, we're going to recap the SEC scores around the league. What kind of thoughts do we have after the games? We're going to break down University of Tennessee taking it again to Alabama. Is Bama broken? The people are wondering. Vol Nation seems to think so. After that, we're going to talk about the Cats rolling into Start Vegas. Cal stays undefeated in Starkville. Does he own Starkville? Should he be the mayor? I don't know, but some think so. And then we're going to end it talking about the Kentucky-Tennessee game this Saturday, 1 p.m. on CBS. One game we are looking for around the league outside of SEC play. And then, by golly, we're going to end it with our dog of the week. Who's got that dog in them? Here's a quick ad read by our presenting sponsor, Realty Executives Associates. Shout out to our good friends at Realty Executives. They're a local and trusted real estate company with over 40 years in the Knoxville real estate market. They are a great starting point if you need assistance with buying or selling in 2023. They just sold over $3 billion in sales for 2022. What does that mean? Well, honestly, we don't know. But we can tell you right now, if you work with Austin White or Rob Logan, they're going to take care of you and they will love to work with you. With a combined 12 years experience in the real estate industry, those two studs will work hard on your behalf and get you to the finish line. If you don't work with them, well, guess you just don't care about real estate. Call Rob today at area code 301-910-1136 or call Austin at 865-719-2724. Those dudes will get it done. Let's ride. Boom. Welcome in, everyone. Episode 1, Gold Standard College Basketball Podcast. We in this thing.
The standard is the standard, baby.
Standard is the standard. I'm Big Poppa. This is Bobby Hoops. We're glad you're here. Hey, Bobby Hoops, why don't you take a minute or two real quick just to tell the future listeners, who are you, where are you from, what got you into basketball? Take it from there.
Cool. I'm Rob Logan, but for the sake of this podcast, I'm Bobby Hoops. I hail from the DMV, grew up just north of the DC border in Rockville, Maryland, and grew up watching a lot of college basketball. I mean, I grew up around the University of Maryland basketball team, especially in their heyday, winning the Natty in 2002, watching my boy Steve Blake, Juan Dixon, Stevie Franchise, those guys.
Yep.
But that was my first real taste of like big time college basketball, and even watching Georgetown teams. But moved to Knoxville about 13 years ago, and since then, obviously I went to the University of Tennessee. I'm a Vol, and my fandom is pretty much mostly within the SEC now. But I've always loved college basketball, March Madness, conference tournaments, all that. You can't beat it. It's the best. Love college basketball. How about you? Who are you?
Yeah, my actual Christian name is Austin White. I was born and raised, funny enough, in Knoxville, North Knox. Shout out to Powell, God's gift to earth. I was not born in Kentucky. I have all of my dad's side of the family is. My one big connection to that university is my grandfather played football there for Bear Bryant, funny enough. So for those of you who are like, who's Bear Bryant? We'll just talk about that another day. That's a lot of years ago. So
Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Just sick plug, let everybody know.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, being born and raised here actually in Knoxville, I grew up going to UT games. That was a very common thing for me. And I'll be honest, they were awesome. If you've been to New England, like it's premier college football stage. So all I have to say is that's what I grew up on, but eventually in middle school got into basketball because I found my dad
shouting and cussing up the sky over watching the fellas play. So then it brought me into the Tayshaun Princes, the Patrick Sparks, Keith Bogans, all those dudes. And it took off from there. And I mean, it was wildly addicting. I didn't know any different. Middle school, getting to high school. And when you're like grounded in high school, you're kind of like, well, I don't really have anything else to do except watch basketball. So that's what I did. And truly fell in love with it. I'm biased, and I know we've said it separately. I think college basketball is the best. There are plenty of things that we'll talk about over the course of the show that you can up the entertainment value in college basketball, but for now, we're just simply stating we think it's the best. We're biased. So that's who I am. That's how I got here. Massive Kentucky fan, obviously. Scratching, baby. That's who we are. Big Pop and Bobby Hoops. We are mainly going to talk about SEC basketball. Maybe every now and then dabble on outside of SEC, but let's jump into the SEC. Tuesday night, here's a couple scores. Vandy over South Carolina. Auburn trounced Missouri. Hey, by the way, can you imagine being a Missouri fan, like in general?
Oh, they no, couldn't be.
Couldn't.
Are they even in the SEC anyway?
Sometimes I'm like, I forget about them. Georgia 2-point win over LSU. Don't talk to me about that. Then last night we got A&M slugfest over Arkansas. Florida over Ole Miss. They lose Castleton, unfortunately, for the rest of the season with a broken hand. Your boys take down Alabama again. And the Cats get scratching down and start Vegas and take it to them. Do you have any thoughts from any games last night or Tuesday?
I guess my one big thought is A&M they are scrappy. They impress me, and I know that they're still not ranked, but 11-2 in the SEC. I think you had told me last night 9 or 11 minutes into the game they'd only scored 4 points and come back to win and beat Arkansas, which I know Arkansas is having a little bit of a down year, but Arkansas's got a good program. Musselman's a great coach.
Yeah.
I think I see they were down I think 9 at half, so they were able to make a good comeback from a terrible start. So A&M, they're scrappy. They impress me. They oh shoot, now their coach's name
Buzz.
Buzz, yes. That guy's everywhere he's gone, from his Marquette days and his Virginia Tech days. He's a great coach. He's won everywhere, so it doesn't surprise me that A&M is humming right now. Tennessee goes to play them next week, and I'm a little nervous for that one.
I'll give the dude credit. I mean, he embodies and I know that this is a thing in Alabama, the whole like blue collar mentality thing, and I'm not saying it's not for Bama. I think that it's just more of like Buzz Peterson has had that since he was at Virginia Tech, and probably before then. That's just who he is. The man carries the invisible like lunch pail hard hat, and it's just like, it's time to clock in, let's go to work. Which is great,
despite wearing like a full vest and suit and tie. He doesn't look lunch pail, but he sure as heck is.
The man, you would think the way he dresses either works at a funeral home or like is big time corporate America CEO, which I guess neither's bad. He just, he seems like the kind of guy that obviously dudes love to play for, and it's showing. Now the funny this is the way it happened last year with them, is they didn't have a great out of conference schedule, and then they took losses against teams that you're like, oh, like that shouldn't happen. We're not talking about top talent. We're talking like Colorado, just other teams that it shouldn't happen. So because of that, it's a little odd, because you see in conference where they've only lost 2 games, and you're thinking like, oh, they must be some like legit ballers. They are. Their out of conference just stinks.
Yeah.
So they're, but again, like last year, they're really making up for it on the back end, and that's good for them. They have a chance. They could, these next 5 games, like, you're talking their game out from hypothetically
getting the double bye,
being the number 1 team and winning the conference.
Oh, yeah, even that, yeah.
Which is just like, I don't know, if you would have asked me before the season started, would they have a chance? I would have been like, not really.
No.
Like middle to me, I'd
They'd be
like,
respectable, but not this. Yeah. No, they're there's like a small bit of me that wants to be like, rank A&M, you cowards, but they're impressive. They've impressed me.
So other than that,
they outscored Arkansas 38-23 in the second half last night. I mean, they can score in bunches.
Like I told you, when there's 9 minutes left in the first half and they've got 4 points, I'm like, they might. I was thinking, like, I don't know if they'll score 20 in the first half, but sadly is also such the nature of college basketball.
That's right.
Other than that, I didn't have any other sweeping thoughts besides, Auburn just laying the wood to Missouri. Like, sucks to suck. Whatever. 89-56. Castleton, that sucks for Florida.
Yeah, he's a good player.
And I know Florida's not like back, whatever, however you want to word it. They're 14-12. Dude's just good. That stinks.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird seeing Florida. Yeah.
So other than that, it's kind of all I had. But let's jump in to what will probably be your favorite segment of the show. Breakdown Tennessee Bama last night. Big dub for the Vols. Hey, is Bama broken?
No.
No, I'm talking about the university. I'm not talking about
okay.
Fan base. I mean, football. Then you take it to basketball. Because in basketball, do you go to Bama this year, or is it just one time?
It's just the one.
So, I mean, outside if they meet up,
don't go to Tuscaloosa. I don't think they're broken. As much as it is just the most fun thing in the world to beat Bama in anything. We've had 2 of the biggest wins in school history in 2 different sports against Alabama in the span of a few months, which is just crazy. Now, Bama's going to be fine. The Thompson Bowling Arena is a tough place to play, and last night we made Alabama play our game, not their game, and that it was the game was maybe a smidge, I think, closer than the final score, but I mean, because guys, Brandon Miller and Bradley, those are guys that are always going to get points, and they did last night. I think they combined for about 30. Yep. But at no point did Bama ever get any momentum or steam. Or we forced 19 turnovers last night. I mean, our defense, when Rick Barnes' defense gets locked in and gets doing what we want to do, I mean, just smothering them, picking them up almost full court, and it was just deny for 40 minutes, and Bama could never get going. I never thought for a second that we were going to kill them. I was surprised when I saw the opening line was that we were favored by 3. Especially coming off the previous 4 games we'd played, we had not been playing well, and defensively especially, and giving up 86, I think it was, to Missouri last weekend. I mean, it hadn't been great for few games defensively, and we were going to be without Josiah James and Julian Phillips last night, who are both starters. Like, I knew we would still show up and meet Bama for the occasion, but defensively, I didn't expect that we were going to lock them down the way we did. I mean, 19 turnovers. Quinterly had a terrible night, and I think he's a pretty good player. Yeah. He had 6 turnovers, and he couldn't get anything going the whole night. I was really impressed with our guys. Mostly I was impressed with our big men, all 3 of them. Adu especially. Adu probably maybe had his best, Jonas Adu. He had his best game maybe in a Tennessee uniform. 12 points, 11 rebounds, 3 huge blocks. He was a monster last night. And Kamwa, who I think is really talented, and I would love to see him get a little more consistent with his scoring. Because when Kamwa's on, he has the talent to maybe be our best player on the court. But he, sometimes it's just not all the way there. And then even my boy Euros, who for Tennessee fans, Euros is
he the most polarizing figure on the team?
Probably. I think his antics kind of rub people the wrong way. Sometimes they rub me the wrong way.
Sure.
But I also love that he's always got his teammates' backs. He's probably the biggest cheerleader on the bench. He had 10 points and about 4 rebounds. He had a couple big and ones last night and a couple. He for Euros, who he's I think I've heard Jalen Rose say in the past, if you're going to be 7 foot, just be able to walk and chew gum, and we can use you out here. And last night, Euros 10 big points against. I'll take 10 points for you against the number 1 team in the country. And then overall, just Zakai Ziegler is just. I think my wife and I joke every time I'm watching Tennessee. At some point in the game, I'll probably say that I would die for Zakai Ziegler because I just adore him. I adore that kid. He plays so hard. He's so unafraid. And especially coming off the game against Missouri, he didn't play that great. He had a terrible, stupid foul with like 4 minutes left in the game to foul out when we really needed him because, again, we were without Josiah James and Julian Phillips that night too. And he has the occasional game where he makes some just kind of dumb mistakes, just getting out of control. That's his biggest thing, is if he's under control. And last night, he didn't shoot his best game. I think looks like he was 4 of 11. He had 15 points. He made most of his free throws. He had 3 huge 3-pointers. He had a beautiful left-handed arching layup drive over a couple guys who were about a foot taller than him. Big thing for me with him, he had 0 turnovers and played 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And in a game like that against number 1, like that is what we need from him. He just showed that he led this team last night as a sophomore, and I would die for Zakai Ziegler. I would. So we needed that last night big time. I felt pretty confident that we were at least going to show up and play well, just especially because it was at home. The last 2 losses against Missouri and Vandy, we didn't necessarily play that badly. Losing on 2 straight buzzer beaters. What are the odds of that? But I had a feeling. I can't remember the last time Rick Barnes has lost 3 games in a row at Tennessee. So I figured we'd come to play, and we did. And Bama is a fantastic team, and we just made them play our game last night. And if we played a 10-game series, I bet it would be close to 50-50. But anyway, that was an encouraging win. Still a long ways to go. I think for a lot of the fans, that was a lot of fun last night, especially to beat the number 1 team in the country. But it's time for Rick Barnes to make a run in March for this team. We are a team that could absolutely be in the Final Four. I don't know if I'm going to say we should be in the Final Four, but we are absolutely talented enough. We have a coach who's been to a Final Four before. It's for the amount of talent that Rick's had here, and to only have gone to the Sweet 16 once, it's time, man. Winning the SEC tournament last year was big for him, and I want to win it again now, and I think we can. But man, it's time to show what you can do in March and take this team further. The furthest Tennessee's ever gone is the Elite 8 once with Bruce Pearl in 2010, and it's time. Let's make a run. Let's do it. So I feel encouraged after last night's game, but I'm ready to see us pull together towards the end of the down the stretch here.
You heard it, Bobby Hoops. He ain't wrong. from a outsider perspective, and I've told you this, outside, that y'all deserve it. He deserves it. He's too good of a coach to be coaching this long and to not have like something on the back end that's tangible to be like, he did it. They made a run. Yeah. It shows that they can do it.
He's done so much for in the 7-8 years he's been here, and Tennessee basketball was in a rough shape when he got here, and he's done a lot, and he should be commended for it. But let's go. It's time. Let's make a run. We can do it. So do it.
The other big game that everybody literally wants to talk about is the Cats just storming Stark Vegas, which is the pits. I've been there. It's dumb. Went there for a football game a couple years ago, middle of the day.
Do they clang a clanger at basketball games too?
I don't think they allow the cowbells in the arena. Like if they allow cowbells,
good. Anywhere that we can ban the cowbells is good with me.
Cripes. Yeah. So it's the pits. There's really, like in Starkville, if you're like, what's there to do? It's like just go to campus. That's about the only thing to do. So yeah, if you're a Mississippi State fan, deal with it. Don't care. You can block us or you can keep listening and give us a 5-star review. Yeah. Cal still undefeated in Starkville, which is funny. I didn't realize he now has a 17-1 record against Mississippi State in his time at Kentucky, which I'm like, own him.
Hey,
it means
standard is the standard against Mississippi State, at least.
Standard cannot be broken against State. No, hey, honestly, my boy Toppin had 16-3. Livingston, which you have heard me say, I am like, that's the one guy on the team that I'm like wishy-washy about. He and his camp think that he's a one-and-done guy. Stats don't really back it up. I'm kind of like, I don't know how you see yourself being done in 1 year and go to the draft, but like, whatever. There's been plenty of other guys at Kentucky who have done that in the years past. Oscar, at this point, I'm like, I think he has his 50th double-double. He had 18-11, and then my boys, Big Tone, Antonio Reeves, he had 14, 5 3-pointers. I think he is the best scorer on our team. Kaysen is probably the best player. He's the only surefire NBA draft pick. At this point, I think the last article I read draft board wise, I think like 11th.
Oh wow.
To the Magic or somebody.
Hey, he was pretty solid down the stretch last night. Ice water in his veins from the free throw line.
Yeah.
It's that game.
The last 3 games, just hadn't been shooting great, which is weird because he had been pretty much the steady Eddie, as Cal likes to use on the team. Dude can shoot threes. He is, I think, the best outside of Antonio, the next 3-level scorer of he can get to the rim, he can shoot you along to, and he can shoot threes just fine. And yeah, but if you look at his stats, his assist to turnover ratio is staggering in the sense of the assists are way up and turnovers are down. Which if you can't contribute on points and you're one of the few scorers available, that's great. I would rather
you're gonna go 0 for 8 from 3. At least give us 11 assists and
give us some assists and
1 turnover.
Do something.
He didn't travel at the end there, did he?
Do what?
Case and why. I know the Mississippi State folks were pretty upset. No travel call. It was that last minute.
I was like, what are y'all talking about?
I couldn't, to me, I saw the replay. I couldn't. Either the ESPN cameras didn't pick it up well enough, but I didn't know what it was.
I do think, but what are you gonna do?
They didn't call it. Too bad.
Yeah, not my problem.
That was an impressive win by Kentucky. Mississippi State
they're not bad. Their boy,
they're good.
Smith, who's their big guy down low, he had 22 and 5.
Yeah, Tolu Smith. Yeah, Tolu Smith. He was impressive.
Any guy who's longer than Oscar, quite frankly, I'm like, you have the advantage. Oscar just doesn't do well. Oscar defensively gets as we've seen this season, just dominated on pick and roll defense.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, it's like even when Oscar wasn't in the game and guarding him, because he got to a point where he had some foul trouble stuff. It was just like, give it to Smith, let him cook. And he did, I think he probably could have got close to 30 points had he not fouled out towards the end of the game. But at that point, I think we were at the like less than 30-second range. If I don't even know if it was that much. So like, I don't even know if it mattered at that point. DJ Jeffries is a guy, I think, if folks don't know, he originally committed to Memphis, played, then transferred to State, was an All-American McDonald's guy out of high school. Just weird. Like, he has the build and the ability to be, quite frankly, a pretty good NBA guy, I think, one day.
Not last night.
Which, hey, I'm fine with that. 3 points, 1 for 7 shooting, 1 5 from 3. Like, he had 5 rebounds. I think State fans are probably like, DJ. Dude, come on.
Yeah, like, I'd be frustrated. Guy with his talent.
We need more from you. My only like big takeaways from that game is like, I think the season was on the line last night. And I told you that like I was, my blood pressure was like, not good. First half, honestly, I was like pretty quiet, just more nervous. The second half, I was throwing out some more frustrated lines outside of just saying, get them off the court. You can't do anything for our team. It was not that clean. More, who's to say at Chris Livingston, but then here's my thing about that is like, I get mad at Chris for things like he had a terrible first half. Second half was great. I want him to make it great. I'm like, I don't want to be right. I don't want to be frustrated with you, but like, come on. And he's like consistently starting to like build up some games where I'm like, yep, you're starting to like move forward in that role of like, you were a McDonald's All-American. You came from Oak Hill, which is a historically great high school program. So, needed that game. If you're a Lenardi.
I was going to say, is that a
so Lenardi, which
that put him back in?
Yeah. On the Lenardi chart, State was in, Cats were out. So it was like if you're going to go by that logistics, got to win this game, trade spots. Obviously, you would just rather like just win games rather than getting into the like, well, let's hope the other 3 teams who are in loses the game. It's like just go win the game. Then you don't have to do this whole like, well, I hope so and so loses. So that's where they're at. At this point, if you ask me, are they in? I think that they sneak in. We're probably into the like Dayton conversation, which then I'm like, here's the standard. Kentucky basketball. We're the first 4 games in on a Wednesday night, or Tuesday, Wednesday thing, which I would be sweating if we did that. The storyline. And if we get into the NIT, don't even.
Oh man,
I don't want
the pitchforks and torches coming out.
Oof. I mean, can you imagine? And we won't get too much into it because I'm like, the storyline is if Kentucky goes to the NIT, which in theory could have Kentucky, Carolina, and Duke like all 1 seeds.
Crazy.
But then it's like, I would watch and I hope they would win. But I'm like, the storyline is you're in the NIT. And then if, say, you make it to the championship game and win it, like, are you going to celebrate? I would be like, I hope you just post a picture of all the guys just thumbs up. Outside, don't do anything. No, that's where I'm at.
Guys, we did it.
Real quick preview. Saturday, Cats and Vols play each other again. Cats took the first round, 1:00 on Saturday. What do you think? Who you think will be the best player for Tennessee Saturday, or who do you hope is the X factor, and who do you think wins?
Well, I was just going to pull up the line. I don't know. Do you know what the line is right now?
I don't, but I would be shocked if it was Tennessee by, I don't know.
4. Yeah, I would have guessed Tennessee by like 3 or 4 right now. But I don't know. I guess I'll be much more concerned if we don't have Josiah James or Julian Phillips back. I think Jemai Mashak has done a great job filling in for those 2 guys. He's very athletic, and he plays great defense. He played great defense on Brandon Miller last night. He'll probably be the SEC Player of the Year. But gosh, as much as I love him for all the good he does on defense, he's just kind of a zero on offense right now. And we to have a game like last night, we're really banking on a lot from our defense. So I would love to get Josiah and Phillips back. And if they're not there, then I think Zakiah is gonna have to lead us. And I really hope if we can get Kamwa from the Texas game, I think that could be the difference maker. If all those things can happen, which fortunately I think Tennessee's got a number of ways to win, especially offensively. They have a number of guys who can do it. I think we can win. Tennessee doesn't have a big history of winning in Rupp. It has happened a few times in the last few years. I think they're going to be pissed off from the last one that they shouldn't have lost against Kentucky, and I think they're going to get their win back. But I still think it'll be a closer game because I'll just never be surprised if the Kentucky that we both know from the last decade shows up and plays like the talent they have on that team can.
Sure.
I can't ever be too confident. But anyway, I think Tennessee wins a close one. I'll say 67-61 Tennessee.
Not bad. My X factor, I think, who has to play well. I think Cason's due. I mean, bad scoring drought they've been in the last couple of games. I think that something's got to flip because if Wheeler's still out with this high ankle sprain, CJ's got a cracked rib. Which let's be honest, I think CJ probably out the rest of the regular season before conference tournament because I'm like, I don't know what a cracked rib it feels like, but I have to imagine it's not great. So Wheeler helps for the sake of changing up the dynamic speed-wise. I mean, dude's, he's honestly 5'7", but he does things that Cason can't. He's been playing college ball a lot longer than he has, so he's got experience. But I think Cason's the dude. If he doesn't, I think it's going to be really hard when it's already really hard to score on the Tennessee defense that's elite and is every night. Got to have scores. So, gonna be honest, don't think Kentucky wins. I think Tennessee wins it. I think, like you said, they're pissed off from the first time they met. Should have won. They probably feel like that was a fluke.
I mean, that was the game. Euros was our leading scorer, which he had his best game in a Tennessee uniform, which good for you, Euros. That is not how we need. That's not how Tennessee is if Euros is having the best game of anyone. I just hope they throw all their bigs at Oscar and slow him down and make other guys beat us if we're going to get beat.
Hey, the tape is there. It's not like it doesn't exist. So, I'm probably going to go. I'm going to actually give props to Tennessee. I'm going to say they get to 80. I'm going to say I'm going to say 80-68. I think that it's going to be similar to Kansas, close, maybe even a good first half, put some buckets up. I think that even with injury stuff, let's say Wheeler's back, I just think it's a different game. So I would love for obviously to be wrong, but for me, it's kind of like if they beat Tennessee on Saturday, I think if anything, it just solidifies that they're in the tournament. But I don't think it's like a Mississippi State where this is a must win. I feel like it's a Tennessee, Auburn, Florida thing where they got to win one of those three for them to be in. But other than that, we'll see what happens. Hey, one game real quick you're watching outside of the SEC. For me, it's Purdue and Maryland, baby. College Park tonight. Biggest game of Maryland season? We'll see. What do you think? Is that it, or you got a different game?
That's pretty good. I think that's I'm gonna have to go. I'm not a big Terps guy anymore, but it's always in there a little bit. So go Terps. Get the big win. I'm gonna say that one. Texas and Oklahoma. Or is that Saturday? That's Saturday. Never mind. Go Terps.
Terp up, baby. I don't even know if that's what they said. Hey, One quick thing we're doing on the podcast. We have one thing we end the show with. It's called Dog of the Week. It's just simply like who we seen that's got that dog in them. We just want to give you a shout out. My dog of the week, Jack Younger, J Train. Got a quick video from his dad, Lee, the other day, just at the gym. I don't know where they're at, Robertsville Middle School or somewhere, local rec place. I love that he faked us out, acting like he couldn't dribble for a hot second, and then just launched a 3-ball. Nothing but net.
Buried a 3-ball.
Wet ball. He turns around, just, what up, gang?
What up, baby?
Just like, J-Train, come on, dude. So that's my dog of the week. He has that dog in him.
My dog of the week is my daughter, Keller Logan. Last night, watching the Tennessee game, she laid in my arms and had her head turned, focused on the Vols. She knew it was a big game. She's 12 weeks old today.
Boom.
Doesn't give a lot of attention to anything that's not sleeping or eating or pooping, but she was locked in on the Vols last night. I could tell. And we got a little Vol on our hands. So she had that dog in her. She wasn't going to let, number one Bama come to town and scare her. Nuh-uh. So
2-0.
Yeah, that's right.
Keller Logan, 2-0. She's
that's
got
right.
Hey, other than that, that's all we got. I'm Big Pop. That's Bobby Hoops. We'll catch y'all later. Post Saturday Cats Tennessee game. We'll catch you later. See
Go
you guys.
Vols.
Scratching.